So today I want to show you how to do contour drawing, and I know it'll be a review for many of you, but the basic idea is that you're going to be looking at an object and not looking at your paper. So the best subjects are things that are kind of wiggly and not real, even on both sides. Like a box of markers would not really be a good contour drawing thing, or a book, but a hammer has lots of innies and outies. Your hand is always a good one. A shoe is a great subject. And then I'm gonna have you guys try it on newsprint paper, just a cheapo paper, using a nice dark pencil like a ebony or a 6B, and try and think about filling the page and drawing life-size or larger. A contour line is very smooth. It's not a sketchy line, so you put your pencil down on the paper and start moving it, and don't go back and forth or sketchy. And it's also dark. The only thing you're going to have is the line, so you want to make sure it's strong and dark using a dark pencil. It's very slow. If you find that your hand is speeding up faster than your eye, or your eye is going faster than your hand, then slow it down. And then you're not only going to draw the exterior, but you're going to draw the inside line. So if you're drawing your hand, you would draw all of these lines, or the fingernails. If you're drawing a shoe, you would draw the shoelaces. If you're drawing a leaf, which is what we're going to do today, you would want to draw the veins also. Okay, so when you look at leaves, you're going to see that there's many different kinds. And if you look around in your area, I'll fix these wires here. You want to look at maybe pick some leaves, or go outside and draw a leaf sprig from outside. But the best thing is to just pick a sprig of leaves, not necessarily just one, although you can do one also. But on this practice, I'd like you to take more than one. And if you notice that some leaves have a vein that goes right down the middle, and then the secondary veins come off of that middle line, and then some of them are more like a sun, where everything emanates from one point. So everything's different, but even though if you have a geranium leaf, for example, you're going to get many viewpoints of that same leaf, depending on the angle that you look at it, or whether it's curling, and so on. So you can't just get this generic, okay, now I know what a geranium leaf looks like, so I'm going to do it over and over and over again that same way. You want to really study exactly what that edge is doing. Okay, so I'm going to take a piece of newsprint, and I'm going to use my dark ebony pencil. And if I'm looking at something, let's say something like these leaves, I will not reject it just because it has some wormholes or some torn places. That's what makes it more interesting and more like nature. So also you want to keep in mind that you don't want to just push it out of the possibility because there's too many of them. You want to just start with one and work your way from there. So I'm thinking I might start with the one that's full and not hiding behind something, so maybe a close one. And I'm thinking about, okay, so should I put it vertical or horizontal? I'm thinking maybe I should do it vertical because it seems to be going up more. And then look at the location on your page. Since this is off to the right, that might be where I'd start. Now, the thing that you want to keep in mind is that this is just a practice. It's on newsprint, it's on bad paper. You're doing it just to practice having your eye and your hand coordinate with each other. You're not necessarily doing it to get a beautiful frameable artwork. So just keep in mind that's just a practice. So I'm going to put my eye right here. I'm going to put my pencil maybe right here and slowly start moving my eye along that line and let my pencil follow my eye and not look down at my paper really. Okay, so I'm going to go very slowly. And I see this little worm bite or caterpillar bite, and I'm going to keep following it down here. Notice that I'm pushing kind of hard. I'm doing a dark line, and then I've come down to here, so I'm going to stop, and I can go back up to where I was before and peek at my paper and put my pencil in that spot and continue following it down around here. And that's about where I think I am. Now notice it didn't meet in the right place. Don't worry about it. You're probably going to have all kinds of weird things that happen. So now I'm going to focus on some of the internal lines. So I'm going to focus on the veins, and I could start down here or I could start up here. Maybe I'll start right here and I'll go up at, and I'm thinking that angle. So I'm going to kind of slowly start going up. And I think I'm at the end, but see, I didn't really meet the end because I miscalculated in my mind, but that's okay. So now I'm going to go back, look at my paper, put my pencil in a new spot, and do some of these veins. And if I really want to get into it, I can do some of the secondary veins, tertiary veins. Oh, I want to get that. So let's go ahead and do that. And that, and that, that. Every time I end up doing a new line, I can peek up my paper a little bit more. So now I can peek, peek, peek. Okay. So that looks pretty good. So maybe I have enough energy and enough ambition that I'm going to try another leaf. But maybe I'll do the stem that it's coming from. So I'll come up here. Now, there's two sides to the stem. So I'm going to do the other side. And now I see that I'm starting on this other leaf coming out. So I'm going to follow that. Now, I don't want you, just for sake of this video, I'm going to speed up a little bit, but I want you guys to just go really slow as you practice this. And I know many of you have done this hundreds of times, but go ahead and just try it like this is your very first time you've seen a leaf or the very first time you've done contour drawing. Contours of edges. So we're doing edges. Now I could say, okay, I'm going to do the top of the glass jar. So I notice that that intersects right there. So I'm going to find that spot on the leaf and draw it. And then I'm stopping right here. Why am I stopping? Because that's where I figured the other leaf was. Now it wasn't in exactly that spot, but I also can see some other things here. Now, a couple of things this is doing. This is making the right hemisphere of my brain, which is the part for art, tune in. And the left side of my brain that says, oh yeah, I know what a leaf looks like. And so every leaf you ever do is going to look like that. We don't want those left brain symbols. We want to really study what's actually happening here. Now, let's talk about some overlap. So I'm going to do this leaf now. And again, I'm going to go a little faster so we can get through this a little quicker here. Okay, and some veins, etc. Pretend I'm doing all these veins. Now, this one and this one are hiding behind that. So how do you do overlapping? You don't want to just say, oh, I'm not going to draw it because I don't know how to do overlap. Or you don't want to lift up and look back here and say, oh yeah, now I know what it looks like. You only draw what you see. You don't draw what you think is there. So I notice from my viewpoint, right about there is where this leaf is kind of, the line for that leaf is growing out of that one. So that's where I'm going to start. And I'm kind of running out of paper probably, but and then I see some of that middle vein again. And pretend I'm doing this really slowly and carefully. So then on this other final leaf back here, I can see it's kind of starting right here. And I don't see very much of that from my viewpoint. I just see a little bit of that, and some of it right there. So when my left brain would say, oh yeah, this jar has a circular top and it might draw it like that. And then the bottom of it is on a flat surface, so it's going to be like that. So that's left brain. But what I'm really seeing is the top of this jar is more of a squish circle or an ellipse, and the bottom of it is a curve. In fact, the lettering on it and the lines on it are all going to follow that same curve. And so that observation, as you really study the thing, you're seeing it with new, fresh eyes. Okay, so I want to talk about one other thing is when you're choosing leaves, not only is it nice to not throw away the idea, oh, this is a damaged leaf, but embrace it, but also maybe you can include some fruit with the leaves or a seed pod with the leaves. So this is from this maple leaf. These, actually, I think it was from these. Maybe. So you could include that with your arrangement. The other thing is sometimes you have dried leaves or flattened leaves. If they're really flat, they won't have that nice little twist on them that you sometimes get. That's kind of interesting. So you might not want them to be perfectly flat. This is a kind of a cool one that looks very Japanese-like. And here's another one. Let me just show you a little bit of this geranium too, since that's a completely different kind of leaf. And I'm going to start with this front one, the one that I can see the most, and I'm thinking it's a little higher than the middle. So I will start around. And probably it should be better to go slower than what I'm going so you can get all these little wiggly things without doing it, oh yeah, I know how it is, I just wiggle. You want to really try and follow what each little wiggle is doing. Okay, and these veins are emanating from the center. And there's some secondary ones also. Now here's another one that's overlapping. So I'm going to say, okay, coming right out of that leaf is where this next line goes of the back leaf. That's why it's more interesting to have a little sprig of leaves instead of just one leaf. But it depends on how worried you are, whether you're a new student or whether you're an advanced student, and you know how intimidating it is. But try and push yourself a little bit. Now this next one is coming back here, so I'm not going to see the whole thing. See a little bit of the stem. Okay, and again, pretend I'm going nice and slow. Now I want to show you this one because that has that little twist in it. So I see it's just kind of kissing the edge of that. So I'm gonna come down here. And again, I'm not doing a sketchy line. I'm pushing really hard and just keeping my pencil on the line on the paper and following that line. Now I notice there's a little twist here. So I'm going to see a little bit of the back side and the front. So that shows that the leaf has twisted up there a little bit. And look for those little things, because that's what's going to make your drawing more interesting. The more out of the ordinary it is, the more interesting it is. Okay, so here's another one. So I'm seeing a little bit of that back side as it twists around. So there's a little twist. And I can see some of the stem back there and more veins. The veins might not be straight as the leaf is curving. So again, let's try that twist. I'm going to angle it from a different side, and I'm going to do these two on a different drawing. So I might start right here, and I see the back side of the leaf, and I see a little bit of the front coming down. And because I'm seeing sort of the side view of this leaf, it's going to be narrower, and the veins will still be visible on the back in this case. But you can see how that looks like it's twisted around. And here's the next one. And I don't know on the video whether this is visible, but from my viewpoint, I can see another leaf coming back here. And there's that twist on it. So I'm seeing the back side of it. And now I'm picking up, this is hiding behind that one, so I'm picking up where it's coming and hiding behind again. It's slow, but you're really seeing things in a way you've never seen them before. And you can take something like an object you have in your house or a plant that you have looked at a million times, and when you do contour drawing, you're going to see it in a way that you've never seen it before. Okay, so I think that's it. Oh, I wanted to mention, if you do a man-made object, you could take like a toy car or like a hammer. It's best if you don't just show it from the very front, like it doesn't have that third dimension, but hold it or lay it down so you can see that thickness of it. So in this case, the hammer, I'm going to follow, I'm going to start right here. I'm going to follow it down. And I've come to a juncture here. I can either go down or I can go back because there's several lines. So I'm going to come back here. I'm right here. And then it goes down to show the thickness. Now I'm going to peek at my paper again, come back and pick up that other line. And then I see another line coming out of that for the other part of the claw. I've come to a crossroads, so I can either go down or I can go back and do that part of the claw, then come back, peek, and put my pencil in that spot. So this is not a completely blind contour. It's a line by line contour. While you are moving your pencil and drawing, your eye is only on the object. When you get to the end of a line, then you can look at your paper, put your pencil in a new spot, and continue drawing. Again, anything you can feel, you draw. If I was drawing my hand, I wouldn't be drawing a freckle or a birthmark unless I can feel it. So all my nice little wrinkles and lines and everything, you can draw those. but not a tan line. Okay, I'm going to come right here where that angled down, and I'm going to come up and meet that. And I'll come up here. And then I see a line for the back of this. And it's foreshortened. That means that I'm looking down at it, so it's going to look shorter than if I held it from the side. Now I'll do the, and I actually see the wood is carved, so here's the handle. This is a little narrower here. So you get that thickness, which makes your drawing much more 3D and interesting. Okay, so that's contour drawing. On the Google Classroom, I'll have a couple of documents. This is some things to remind you. I was talking because I was giving the instruction, but while you're doing it, don't have any conversation with anybody, because that interrupts your right brain. Your left brain is where language happens in math, and they don't have any business being there while you're doing art. Keep your eyes on the object, focus and concentrate. Do a slow, smooth, strong line, not sketchy. And don't erase. If you make a mistake, look at how that didn't meet in the right place, or something else happened where it wasn't quite right. Don't worry about it. If you focus on making it perfect and erasing, that's all you'll do. And you won't get that practice in. So don't worry about these little things like that where something doesn't meet in the right place. The more lines you add, the better it looks. Look for line relationships, like where is that line coming out of that line? And remember, this is not a product. We're not going to hang this on the wall. It's a practice, like kicking the soccer ball, dribbling back and forth across the field before the real game. And the more difficult it is, the more you're learning. So don't just pick the easiest thing. I'll also have this posted on the Google Classroom, so you can see these reminders of the process. I think that's it. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our drawing and maybe if you have a fairly decent contour drawing, you can put it onto, or use the graphite transfer paper and put it on a better paper. Another thing that I haven't really talked about is this was like a pure sort of blind contour. Once you get the hang of that, you can start peeking at your paper a little bit more and do what we call a modified contour drawing. So you wouldn't have this kind of thing happen. So when you know you're getting to the end of a line, stop and peek, and just don't go back to that thing where you, oh yeah, I know what a hammer looks like. This is what it looks like, and it has a round circle on the end, you know, that kind of thing. So actually really study it so that you're, but you can peek a little bit more. Okay, give it a try.